The John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline on News Talk 830 WCCO. Buckle up. Time for the ride home and the chance to get caught up on the day's news, plus whatever else he wants to riff on. This is Drive Time with DeRUSH.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Here's the star of the show and your host,
Jason DeRUSH.
Are you ready? All right.
Now live on your radio and streaming to the world at WCCOradio.com and the Odyssey app. Here's Jason DeRUSH.
I hope that things change in Minnesota after the assassination of Melissa Hortman. It's Jason. Welcome to Drive Time. It is Friday. We're glad to have you with us as we enter our fourth year of afternoon drive radio here on CCO. Dan and I are so grateful for you listening and joining the conversation every day. We'll talk a little bit more on that about that coming up in about 40 minutes here on CCO. I want to start talking about the Hortmans and talking about where we go from here, because in the immediate aftermath, there was so much conversation about changing the way that we talk about political differences, changing the way that we interact with each other, going after policies instead of people. The lesson that if our temperatures are so heated on politics, so heated that someone, no matter what sort of ridiculous, crazy, deranged motivations led somebody to go create a list of political leaders, a list of Democrats that this guy wanted potentially to kill. And in fact, he went to 4 different legislators' houses that early Saturday morning. Do you think anything will change? 651-461-9226. I want to start with my friend Blois Olson, who wrote, I think, very passionately and emotionally about this in his Morning Take newsletter, part of the daily agenda that Blois puts out every day. And he's with us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline. Because Blois, I think, like, obviously, as we have people kind of waiting and, circling the Capitol building to pay their respects, to me, that's not enough. Paying the respects, it's important. But how do we change? Do we change going forward? And you had thoughts about that today.
Yeah, good afternoon, Jason. It came from some of my immediate thoughts the Saturday morning you and I spoke on the air, is that we don't treat our elected officials the same way we treat our military or our police. We certainly don't treat the people who work in public service, from teachers to firefighters, on a whole the same way. And if you think deep into why our country is what it is, it's public service. And Melissa Hortman was as selfless of a politician as you're going to find. She showed her work. She didn't talk about her work. And so I guess the one thing that I tried to say is, let's just honor all public service. And if there are bad actors, they are just that. But as a whole, we have to be more selfless in our service. And I would say more selfless for me and hopefully others in the way they talk about these issues, the way they talk about these politicians, the way, like, they're there to serve. They spend time away from their families. They give up bigger jobs. And so that's the legacy that I want Minnesota to take from this, is that we all need to just think about the better common good,
right,
and not about our own individual interests.
Yeah, you wrote that these past few years of division in our state and our country have been filled with a decline and deterioration of trust. And you and I were talking about this on the phone the other day, that a lot of our discussion and the way we treat each other has sort of been in this, it's been stuck in disputes about the COVID era, especially, that people have made so personal instead of being reasonable disagreements, which I think there are reasonable disagreements about policy decisions. But instead it becomes, I hate this guy, I hate this woman, and it's got to stop. It's got to stop.
Well, and that's where I will say, I hope it stops. I can't go so far as to say it has to stop, because I think that's where I think the division comes. I can't tell someone else what to do.
Right.
I believe I can only seed the thought that there's a different way to think. There's a different way to act in these times. Because if I know my reaction when somebody tells me what to do, I still have a rebellious streak. No, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So I think it's the preaching and the projection we can't do. We just have to remind people every day that there's a different tone and there's a different calmness that we deserve. Our democracy deserves, and frankly, our kids deserve.
Yeah.
Because I have two 20-something kids. And they've grown up in a strange way in this division between high school and the 2016 election and the 2020 election and the 2024 election. So
very good. Blois, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate what you wrote today. You can see Blois's morning take at thedailyagenda.com, and that'll get you right to that. So let's get reaction to what Blois has said at 651-461-9226. Do you think anything will change? I will tell you that I am concerned that we're going to have fewer people running for office. Because, I don't know, how do you sit down with your spouse today and say, I'm thinking about running for office? When you look at the fact that here is Melissa Hortman, her husband, Mark, and their dog lying in state in the Capitol building in Minnesota. How do you do that? I don't know. I don't know how you get your family on board. Is it worth it? I've always thought that it is worth it, but here we are with two people who are dead, two more people. Don't forget about John and Yvette Hoffman and their daughter who had to witness it and call 911. According to Yvette, all three of them were lined up essentially to be executed by this guy. To be a state senator, a state rep, I'm out. I understand why people would say no way. Lots of texts at 651-461-9226. Jason, political leaders need to lead the way in how they speak and treat everyone. I wonder about that. Because if we didn't like this stuff, they wouldn't talk this way. If we didn't eat it up, if we didn't retweet it or give it the likes or on and on and on. Now, as always, most people are not Vance Belter, right? Most people are not that. So, I don't know. It is hard to know. And it's also dangerous to make a direct line to like, oh, well, this level of political diatribe and this level of rhetoric led this guy to do this. I don't want to go that far. But I do think that this gives us a chance to say, is this really what we're good with? Is this really where we're at? Because it's up to us as voters to say we're not gonna keep sending, and you know who they are. There are certain legislative leaders, certain legislators who traffic in this sort of nonsense, and we vote for them. So until we're willing to do that, I got to be honest, I am not extremely optimistic that there's going to be lasting change from this until we actually punish people at the ballot box. And I think we, of late, have made the decision that we don't care. And maybe it's because we don't have great candidates on both sides, but I think overall voters have made the choice that they don't really care about character, that they care about whatever issue is at their disposal, whatever their major issue is, that's what they care about. Are you willing to vote for someone that you disagree with on the issues in order to punish someone who is just a bad actor? I don't know. I don't think most people are there. Are you? 651-461-9226. Texters say we're avoiding Trump. Let's talk about that. We'll talk about that when we come back here on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Hey, it's Jason here for your dinner plans this weekend. Have you figured out what you're cooking, what you're doing? Maybe you're gathering with the family. Tomorrow's going to be hot, hot, hot. Minnesota pork is there for you. Bacon is just the beginning when it comes to the deliciousness that's available to you from pork. 3,000 family farmers in Minnesota make up our incredible pork family. And those farmers are working so hard to bring you a wide variety of food that tastes so good. Think about pork tenderloin, marinated, crusted, herb crusted, so many options. You want to enjoy the seasonality of this time of year, go for it. Recipe ideas at mnpork.com, no doubt about it. You can find inspiration for all different kinds of cooking. You want to use the air fryer? You got it. You want to use the grill or the smoker? Boy, it wouldn't be a great weekend for some nice rack of ribs. Go get it. Get the grocery store, get the butcher shop. Think of all that pork can do for you. So many different flavor options. Inspired? Go to mnpork.com. You know what you want? Go to the butcher shop. Go to the grocery store and say, let's have Minnesota pork for dinner tonight.
Thielen Meats of Pierce is where tradition meets taste.
Family grown, employee owned. We've mastered the art of meat.
That's why we're the #1 meat market in Minnesota.
And we're located right here in Pierce.
Check out our mouthwatering selection at thielenmeats.com.
Better yet, stop in and see for yourself. We're serving up love one cut at a time.
Thielen Meats, from our family to your feast.
No meal's complete without Thielen Meats
Of Pierce.
Grown-ups, aren't Sundays more fun without, can I have screen time? Can I have a snack? I don't want to go to Grandma's. It smells funny. And I'm bored. Bored is impossible on Kids Day at Target Field. The gate 30 for lawn is turned into Bullseye's backyard. Kids' meals are half off. Kids 12 and under can run the bases after the game. And Grandma's invited too. Enjoy your weekend wind-up with Sunday Kids Days, presented by Target. Join in at twins.com/tickets.
Miller Marine, Miller Marine, Miller Marine. We sell more, that's why we sell it for less.
Play before you pay. Now at Miller Marine and Power Lodge, Minnesota's marine and power sports superstore. For a limited time, don't miss 90 days with no payments or 5.99% APR stacked on exclusive truckload price savings we're passing on directly to you. So hitch up a new 20-foot Bennington, plus a free bunk trailer, custom cover, and inflatable paddleboard or raft for only $34,999 or as low as $282 per month. Angling for more hot deals? We got fishing boats for every budget, starting at only $19,990. Ignite your summer with zero payments while you throttle up your new Bennington, Premier, Lund, Ranger, Alumacraft, Sea-Doo, Polaris, Can-Am, or CF Moto. With 5 locations in Ramsey, Brainerd, Onamia, St. Cloud, and South Rapids, we sell more, so we sell for less. But don't wait. Play before you pay and launch your adventure at Miller Marine and Power Lodge.
Miller Marine, Miller Marine, Miller Marine. We sell more, that's why we sell it for less at Miller Marine.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSH.
3 hours.
No, thanks.
3 hours.
That's too long. 3 hours?
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
We really want to blame anybody but ourselves. That's what I'm getting on the text line at 651-461-9226. Texter asking about Donald Trump, saying I'm avoiding Donald Trump. We've talked about Donald Trump and his rhetoric for a long time. I think the people have chosen, right? he got 40-some% of Minnesotans who said who either said we don't care about the rhetoric, or they, didn't like Kamala Harris so much that they just voted for Trump. But to me, that is still, it's not necessarily an endorsement where you say I'm into it, but it's an intentional avoidance of the issue, right?
Some sort of tacit approval, maybe, I guess.
Maybe.
Put it.
Yeah.
I think, there's no question that the president, upon his entree into the political stage, has contributed greatly to the nature of rhetoric in the political world right now. And having said that, if you want to delude yourself into thinking that when he steps off that stage, that suddenly everything's going to go back to the way it was, I think you're kidding yourself. It's not as simple as he's a symptom, not a cause, but he's not the sole singular cause in this. We were already heading down this road. He just threw some gas on the fire.
My gut is that he's emboldened some of the amateur hour politicians to let her rip because you don't necessarily pay a price for it. And ultimately, if that's what we decide in our voting choices, that's what we decide, right? Let's go to the phones here. Oh, Mark dropped off. No problem. Media and their coverage of politicians, what they ask, points out one texter, maybe no media. Media shouldn't attempt to ask zinger questions looking for a zinger answer. I do think when you look at media in the broadest sense, we are in a time where so many people have access to a microphone and a megaphone and an audience. And if you define media as like every podcaster, we're definitely in a negative environment when it comes to people who can just say whatever they want and have an audience for it.
But to your earlier point, talking about, what is our responsibility as citizens, as community members, those zinger questions, seeking the zinger answers, only get asked and answered if we react to it, right? Yeah. If we feed that fire. They're doing, you want to say they're just doing it for the clicks? Well, who's clicking? It's us.
Yeah, no one wants to take ownership for the fact that we do like conflict. We do. We like the metaphor that has always been around in politics, that it's a war, it's us against them. But I think that used to be thought of as a metaphor, not as a literal thing. And today I think too many people take it literally. Jason, the whole ecosystem of politics, social media, and news media feed off each other and rewards attention-seeking behavior. Sorry, but this now defines the modern GOP. I do think the Republicans are the best at sort of playing the troll game right now. I think, I've looked at the rhetoric that you see in Minneapolis, for example, where it's pretty much a one-party city. It's a Democratic city. And so I wouldn't say the Democrats are off the hook on this kind of behavior.
Absolutely not.
And Tim Walz himself, since the assassination, I don't think we've seen the same rhetoric that we heard from Tim Walz before, which I applaud. I also think we have to be a little better at holding people accountable for things they've done wrong in the past, but also moving forward and letting them be better. So a lot of texts are talking about Walter Hudson, who we had on this show. And I described him as a flamethrower. He is in a very safe Republican district. There's no risk for him.
And he didn't deny that when you characterized him that way.
But he has been without backing down on his politics or his policy belief, I think he has struck a different tone, and I hope it sticks. Now, who gave him grief for striking that conciliatory tone? Republicans.
Yes.
People on his side. Not all Republicans, but people on his side. Texters saying, and I think this is very interesting. This idea that the policies matter more than the person. Texter, although character matters, my life is dramatically more impacted by policies than by personality. Unless you're voting for a homecoming king, I'm not too concerned with whether or not I like a candidate as a person. I believe that is a very flawed way of electing representatives. And it's part of why we have what we have today. That we have convinced ourselves that we are so familiar with every policy position of every person running for office, that we are so above reproach because I'm not judging on personality. I agree with the opinion. And I think it's a load of crap. I think most people are not that familiar with every single opinion of every single political candidate. I believe the most important things that come up during a legislative session, especially when you're talking about a governor or a president, are not the things that they're campaigning on at all. Donald Trump was not talking about Iran and Israel during the campaign. He was saying he was ending all of the forever wars. But when push comes to shove, that's what gets in the way. Tim Walz, when he was running for office, talking about one Minnesota, everybody runs on like, I'm going to do this on taxes. We're going to bring people together. And what has defined the Tim Walz years? COVID and the murder of George Floyd. Two things that were not part of a campaign, were not really foreseeable. And so this is why I think we could give a little more value to those personality traits, because that is what ultimately, to me, makes the difference. Now, yes, policy matters. There is a difference between a Democrat and a Republican. But all things equal, I would take the person that I think is going to be a more moral, that cares about people, that cares about the people of their district or of their state or whatever. I personally prioritize that more than any specific issue.
It's also interesting when you look at it from a broader perspective, right? It's a seismic sea change from, say, 30 years ago, when folks on the right were screaming about character mattering more than policy and so on and so forth. Folks on the left were saying, well, I don't know, I care more about policy than what President Clinton's doing in the Oval Office. Remember that whole conversation? And now we flipped 180. So do we really care one about more, one or the other, or do we just want our guy? We just want to stick up for our guy.
I think we just want.
And if our guy's behaving badly, then policy matters more than character. If it's the other side's guy that's behaving badly, well, then we just don't care enough about character.
You nailed it. Cook nailed it. Sometimes he nails it, and then we hit the button. It's 3:30. We're going to break. When we come back, I don't know. Usually I have one more thing to say after you nail it. And you nailed it. We want our guy. Will that change? That's why I'm not super optimistic that there will be long-standing change. But all you can do is control yourself. And I am dedicated to making sure we talk about issues instead of making these issues so personal. So we'll still call out people when they screw up, but I think we can do it in a way that's, I don't know. It's not like I don't need to apologize for something I'm not doing. This is not exactly hate radio on CCO. So we're not going to do that. Why don't we break? Dan is going to geek out. We love this segment. Dan is an unabashed geek in the best way. And sometimes in a way that you want to gong. Do you want to give Dan Cook the green light? Can you give people a little tease as to what the topic's going to be? Maybe you can, because you can start gonging or green lighting based on just what the topic is.
All I'm going to say is we're headed back to space.
Okay.
All right.
Green light or gong at 651-461-9226 in just a minute here on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Big sale alert. Big sale alert. It's Jason here for my friends at J.H. and Sons at the Galleria in Edina. You can join their mailing list, and you'd be the first to find out about the big sale they have going on this weekend at J.H. and Sons. I buy all of my suits, all of my dress shoes. I bought a bunch of linen. So linen pants, linen shirts, getting ready for the summer. Summer is here, and J.H. and Sons wants you to look amazing. Now, this weekend, the sale. They have got 20% off on a number of beautiful brands that they bring in from Italy. It's called the Insider Sale, and you're an insider. It's 1 week only. You shop this weekend. You can go right now. They're open till 7. Shop right now and be the first to save 20% on some of your favorite seasonal collections. So we're talking about Canali. We're talking about Leventi, Frati, Magnani. And it's not limited to those, but it's beautiful seasonal clothing at discount. Lasts until Thursday, July 3rd. So time's running out. I want you to save that money, and I want you to experience the service. Specialty men's clothing, top-of-the-line service from my friends Bryce and Kevin and Dean. Tell them I sent you. Tell them you heard it here on CCO. J.H. and Sons at the Galleria in Edina.
You gave it your all out there. Morning News with Vanita crushed it. Adam and Jordana, you owned the viewpoint. And when Chad Hortman brought the heat, you stared it down like a champion. You didn't flinch during some stressful Twins games, then powered through CCO's How To Saturday without losing focus. That's not just stamina, that's WCCO spirit. That's Hall of Fame level listening.
Binge the broadcasts at News Talk 830 WCCO because champions are made one headline at a time.
You can do this. Why? Because no one cares more about your money than you. Right now, many have concerns about their retirement, their investments. Are these mutual funds a poor investment? Did you know that with the average fees of 2%, you could be missing out on upwards of half of your potential retirement dollars? That's pretty high for management, especially when 75% of these funds underperform the market. At Trading Academy, our mission is to empower you to take control of your investments. Text investing to 210-210. Take control of your financial future. Maybe it's to just have a better conversation with your broker. Sign up for a free investing class, local classrooms, one-on-one mentoring, how to protect your investments against inflation. Text investing to 210-210 or go to learnwithota.com.
The big focus in America today is on your health, and more people are looking beyond pills and steroids and surgery. Hey, it's Adam Carter for QC Kinetics. At QC Kinetics, they've been on the cutting edge of this medical revolution since 2018. Using regenerative medicine, they have helped tens of thousands of people get lasting joint pain relief using natural treatments that harness your body's own healing power. The truth is, regenerative medicine used to be an alternative treatment, but now it's mainstream. And QC Kinetics is the nation's leader. Their well-respected protocols include potent and powerful cellular-level treatments to revitalize and restore damaged joint tissue. They're not masking the pain. They're going after the very source of it. Yes, you can say goodbye to that chronic pain and live your best life. Learn more about this revolutionary treatment and get a free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now at 612-254-7123. 612-254-7123. That's 612-254-7123.
O'Reilly. You need parts? We got parts. Product availability? Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. Get one free set of brake pads when you buy 2 brake rotors. Upgrade to Brake Best Select brake pads for $10 more, or upgrade to Brake Best Select Pro or import direct pads for just $20. Offer in-store only. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is Traffic and Weather Together on CCO, starting with the commute.
Working North 35E, Little Kennedy Road, center lanes are affected. You're getting by on the right and left lane as you make way past the scene. Get ready for the slowdowns as you come up from University Avenue. 494 northbound, jammed up past Valley View and Valley Creek, that is, heading up toward Highway 36. If you're traveling crosstown eastbound, that's slow. Gleason over 235W. East 494 at Lindale, crash in the right lane. Shop sweet savings at Whole Foods Market. Get organic red cherries for $4.99 per pound with Prime through July 1st. Bring a bag to your summer picnic to share with your friends. While supplies last, shop in store online. Terms apply. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Hungry? Go to Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan for real Texas barbecue. All meats smoked fresh in-house daily. You can dine in, take out, have it delivered, or have your event catered anywhere in the metro. Just go to Dickeys.com. Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan, the Twin Cities catering leader.
Now the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan at Dickeys.com brings us Chris Schaefer.
A pretty unsettled forecast. Mostly cloudy tonight. There will be thunderstorms in western Minnesota with some heavy rain possible early tomorrow morning in the metro. Then we dry out, partly cloudy, hot, humid, a high of 89. We could see some thunderstorms firing up in the afternoon and into the evening. Some of those could be severe. We'll keep a close eye on that. Sunday, mostly cloudy with some scattered showers, still humid and warm with a high of 85.
Right now, it is a little, pretty cloudy. I found there's a little sun out there. 70 degrees in Minneapolis on CCO.
Jason DeRUSH is back on News Talk 830 WCCO. Start the clock. Dan Cook now has 3 minutes to geek out on something. And you get to text in with a vote on whether it's halfway interesting or if the topic should never again be brought up in public. Again.
Nerd alert!
Let's set things up for this edition of Dan Geeks Out.
Streaming live on YouTube, we have visual aids for today's Dan Geeks Out segment at youtube.com/WCCO radio. So click on live. You can see Dan Geek Out. And of course, it's about space again. So it's an immediate gong for me, but you get to weigh in.
Why would you?
That's,
you don't even want to hear what it is?
Nope. So that's one gong. 651-461-9226 is where you get to vote with a green light or a gong. Are you ready for this, Dan?
Oh, shall we start the timer?
Let's start the timer. You have 3 minutes, Dan Cook.
All right. So you're going to see a small picture there. You can go ahead and blow that up at some point. This is from an observatory down in Chile called the Vera C. Rubin Observatory.
What's it called?
The Vera, Vera C. Rubin Observatory.
Okay.
This is one of the most incredible space pictures you're ever going to see, because in that space picture, and you can Google this if you want to see it at home if you're not watching on YouTube, but in that picture that you're looking at right now,
it looks like a smudgy iPhone screen.
Every single one of those smudges is a galaxy. There are 10 million galaxies in that picture alone. And the reason that they can get this huge swath is because this is the largest HD camera ever made. It's literally the size of a small car. And so every 3 nights, this observatory can map essentially the entirety of the southern hemisphere sky. And it's just going to keep doing that and layering those images and layering those images and layering those images. You get such fine detail here. This project has discovered over 2,000 asteroids we didn't know about. Click on the next picture because I want you to see how this next picture labels what we know there are galaxies out there, galaxies that we've seen before.
651-461-9226. You can green light this nonsense, or you can gong it.
Look how many galaxies are in this. This is incredible. This is amazing. If you want some kind of perspective here, go ahead and go to the third picture, because what you're going to see in this third picture.
Oh my God, 3 pictures.
There's 3 pictures.
What?
So you see, there's a guy on the left side of that picture there. It's got some spike marks coming out of it. There's a few of those scattered throughout the picture. Those are called diffraction spikes. If you have that, that means that's a star. Everything else in that picture is a galaxy.
What are these little googly eyes that look like we're at the cabaret?
Those are spiral galaxies, large spiral galaxies that are actually closer to Earth than all of those little tiny ones.
How do we know that this image isn't just like some Photoshop goober?
Why on earth would they do that? That makes no sense whatsoever. By the time that they're done with this project, they're going to have imaged nearly 20 billion with a B, 20 billion galaxies. There's 10 million in this picture alone. By the time that they're done with all this, 20 billion.
When you found some aliens, get back to us. There's a gongaroo.
Find some aliens, please, with the alien stuff. One image from this camera is equivalent to basically 45 full moons. So if you can picture what the moon looks like when it's full,
light coming
that's
in.
how big of a swath of sky one image from this camera is able to do. One of the cool things that they're going to try and do here is find the areas of space where they think dark matter exists. Dark matter is mass in the universe that makes up like about 85% of the total mass of the universe. We just don't know what it is. So here we are. We're going to find all kinds of crazy new information from this one observatory down in Chile. But that picture, that first picture, if you put that back up to me, 10 million galaxies. It's incredible what this thing is able to pull up. It's one of the most insane pictures I've ever seen in my life, and I love it.
Really great. Here, let me tally up the votes. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Can you count this up for me? This is the problem. We need like one more person working on this show.
Votes?
All right, here we go. Oh man, a lot of green lights coming in at the last minute.
Of course.
All right, so we've got green light,
Yep.
green light, green light, no. Green light, green light, green light, green light, gong.
Okay.
Green light, gong, green light, gong.
Okay.
So I'm counting 5 gongs and 12 green lights.
Okay, I had 11 green lights and 4 gongs, but I don't know that I counted
Well,
your gongs.
my
so
gong
that'd
I
be fine.
added in. Yeah.
Either way, it's a crushing victory for me and the Vera C. Rubin Observatory in Chile. Honestly, folks, if you don't, look up the Rubin Observatory on Instagram. They publish all the pictures there, or you can Google it. These are just insane pictures of the night sky. It is so beautiful. Just the base nature of nature is so amazing. To be able to see all these different colors and all these different galaxies. You're talking about the Milky Way galaxy is a fairly average sized galaxy. We have 400 billion stars in the Milky Way alone. Several of these galaxies, many of these galaxies are multiple times the size of the Milky Way. And you start thinking on those orders of magnitude, how big these things are, how far away they must be to appear this small in these pictures. It is just crazy. The scope of the galaxy, the beauty of the galaxy.
Do you have any favorites in here? How do you feel about HD 108058? NGC 9242?
Well, if I'm going to talk about like favorite
KO Virginis,
am
I saying that right?
I have no idea. You're going to talk about like favorites when it comes to galaxies, obviously Milky Way is number one because that's where we are.
You're one of us. You're just
it's like when people ask you what your favorite planet is. Well, let's start with Earth. Let's just
right.
start with Earth. But the Andromeda galaxy is the next nearest galaxy to us. And so you can get some beautiful, beautiful images of Andromeda, which is, again, much larger than the Milky Way itself. But it's the largest or the furthest away object you can see with the naked eye. If you're in dark enough skies, you can see the Andromeda galaxy with your naked eye. And it's 2 million light years away.
Here's the Andromeda.
Yep.
Yeah. The Andromeda is pretty.
It's beautiful.
It's very nice.
It's beautiful. And like I said, you don't even need the telescope to see it. In fact, it's almost better to view it with binoculars than it is with a telescope. Telescope almost gets you too close.
I'm more of an NPC.
Please.
NGC 4241. That's a good one.
M51 is the Whirlpool galaxy. That's also beautiful. M81, I think it is Bode's galaxy. Bode's and Cigar galaxy are right next to each other. Those are kind of pretty. But again, you need very powerful equipment to start seeing those.
Sure. This has been Dan Geeks Out.
The people are with me, Jason.
The people are with you.
Green lights, baby. Let's go.
It's pretty good. Congratulations.
We need to do maybe this fall a drive time with DeRUSH stargazing night.
Oh, I like that.
I think that's a good idea.
I would come to that. And I won't be. So
you would come, but you would just be sarcastic and this isn't so interesting. You'd be that guy. You'd be heckling the whole time.
But isn't that more fun? We started this show 3 years ago on this date. Now, 715er here on the text line would like the show to end today and me to hand it over to you. I think you might not get the bit. It's all right.
It's okay, though.
It's okay. I'm embarrassing you, it says. Don't embarrass him. You embarrass yourself when you do this segment. I'm just telling you, 715, like another 3 weeks, and you might figure out what's going on.
Might get the bit.
We'll break. Should we ask people what their favorite thing about the show is right now?
I can't see why we wouldn't.
I could ask what part of the show you'd like to get rid of. You know what? You can weigh in on that.
You can do that too.
That's fine. But let's be positive. It's Friday.
Friday, baby. Let's go.
651-461-9226. Drive time. Entering our fourth year of broadcasting excellence. Entering our fourth year of broadcasting here on CCO.
Drive Time with DeRUSH is on News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, let's talk about Tureen Dermatology. It's Jason here for my friend, Dr. Mohiba Tureen. And she is my friend. I absolutely love Mohiba Tureen, and you're going to love her and her team as well. Tureen Dermatology is a special place. And, how many of you feel that way about your dermatologist? So Alyssa and I were there just last week. She was there getting a spot frozen. It's kind of cool to watch. They take the liquid nitrogen and just freezing these cells to make sure that the biopsy they did of Alyssa took care of everything, got rid of the inflammation, all good to go. They care so much about you at Tureen Dermatology because they'll take care of any skin type, any skin condition. So I know a lot of people who put up with stuff like eczema or acne. And part of it is because if you try to get into a dermatologist, often it'll take 3, 4, 5. We were talking to a guy at State Fair who said it was taking 6 months to get into his dermatologist until he reached out to Tureen, where they guarantee they'll get you in within 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Just amazing. You can book that appointment online at Tureen, Tareen, dermatology.com, or you can call 651-633-6883. One number gets you to 9 locations. Go see them in Lakeville, brand new at Lakeville, and Hudson. They've got room for you over there, too.
Heading out for the weekend? Lucky you.
Don't forget to stop at Thielen Meats of Piers for some melt-in-your-mouth moments.
High quality beef.
Fresh and smoked sausages and brats.
Home smoked bacon.
All natural chicken.
A great selection of fish and seafood.
Visit us at ThielenMeats.com.
We've got the cuts that'll make your meal.
Call to order ahead and pick up on your way to the lake.
You'll be the hit of the party.
No meals complete without Thielen Meats of Piers.
Dave Lee for Aquarius Home Services. Summer should be about relaxing, not flickering lights and faulty plumbing. From fixing that runaway toilet, not so hot water heater, and installing generators for whole home backup power, Aquarius has you covered. Right now, get $98 off any electrical or plumbing repair. Fast, friendly service and ready to rescue your summer from household chaos. Aquarius, local, trusted, family-owned, and earning the right to be recommended. Schedule your appointment today at AquariusHomeservices.com.
If you've inherited valuable coins, gold, silver, or jewelry, where do you turn? American Rare Coin and Collectibles in Bloomington is the trusted choice. For over 30 years, families, trustees, and advisors have relied on American Rare Coin to evaluate and purchase valuable coin and precious metals collections with honesty, transparency, and immediate payment. We make the process simple, and we're conveniently located in Bloomington on American Boulevard. For experience and honesty, visit AmericanRareCoinAndCollectibles.com.
I'm Emma Greed, and I've spent the last 20 years building, running, and investing in some incredible businesses. The more success I've had, the more people started coming to me with questions. How do you start a business? How do you raise money? How do I bounce back from failure? On my new podcast, Aspire with Emma Greed, I'll be answering these questions and more through weekly conversations with the smartest minds out there. Listen to and follow Aspire with Emma Greed, an Odyssey podcast, available now, wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is Traffic and Weather Together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Brought to you by Miller Marine of St. Cloud, world's largest Bennington dealer. Scratch and dent sales going on now. East 494 at Lindale, Crash Right Lane has been taken care of. Still the slowdowns coming in from East Bush Lake Road. 35E northbound Little Canada Road. Accident continues to block the center lanes. Traffic is jammed and crammed as you come up. Looks like that's extending toward Victoria, so quite a run of slow stuff there. West 94 jammed up into Minneapolis. That starts at Cretin. Up on the north side, 610 westbound slows across the river bridge heading out toward Broadway. Play before you pay now at Miller Marine and Power Lodge. Get 90 days with no payments or 5.99% APR and score a Bennington pontoon trailer and cover combo for just $34.99. Hurry, offer ends soon at Minnesota's Marine and Power Sports Superstore. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
With a well-designed will, trust, and estate plan, you can have peace of mind. Choose Matt Gutman of Gutman Law to give yourself peace of mind. Call him now, 612-895-1616 at gutmanlaw.com. Gutman Law, peace of mind today for tomorrow.
Now the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
All right, weather is brought to you by Gutman Law, Wills, Trust, and Probate Law, gutmanlaw.com, and it is going to be hot tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Partly cloudy and humid. Storms possible by tomorrow night. High almost 90. Sunday, mostly cloudy and humid. Some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Looking at 85. Slight risk of severe weather the west tonight. Slight risk in the metro tomorrow. So you're ready for that. Tonight's low will be 63. Right now, it is 72 on CCO.
Jason DeRUSH.
He's representing the state, everything. He should be a model citizen.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Well, I was looking at the old Facebook memories today, and up popped me with a box of stuff, Dan, coming to the station on my first day.
Look at you. Man, have you aged? Radio does that to people. It's not quite being president, but it's similar.
That is the first show, which was June 27, 2022. There was Vanita, who welcomed me with a bottle of bourbon. I came in to be on her show.
She gets the bit.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
I am so thrilled to be here. I still love what we're doing. I think we can announce that I'll be doing it for at least one more year, that the radio station, just like the Twins picked up Rocco's team option, WCCO Radio has picked up my team option. Now you look at this picture of me from 3 years ago. You say it's aged me. I have lost a pound or two. I look a little skinnier. I have a little more facial hair and a little more hair on the top of my head as well.
It's worked out well.
Radio has been fine.
Yeah.
On YouTube, Lethal Migraine says two things that age you the quickest: marriage and stress. I have neither, and I never age. I think marriage has aged my wife. If you were married to me, she doesn't look it, but it's rough.
Not at all.
Texter says, best part of the show is me. That's nice. Miss me on morning TV. In my newsletter, which you can sign up for my newsletter if you'd like, my website, jasonderusha.com, I wrote some reflections about hitting 3 years. I think the show's better, right, Dan?
Than when we started? Absolutely.
Yeah. I did not really know what I was doing.
I don't think either of us did. But we figured it out together.
Did we? We're still working on it.
Yes, Jason, we did. Just go with it.
Card DeSharks coming up at the top of the hour.
At Wealth Enhancement, we believe wealth is in the details. Our team of trusted advisors craft personalized solutions to help you achieve your financial goals. Tune in to the Your Money Show on News Talk 830 WCCO every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. or go to wealthenhancement.com to connect with one of our advisors.
Chris Lindahl wants to help you get out of your home. It's Jason from my friend Chris Lindahl and Chris Lindahl Real Estate. Chris has been closing more and more guaranteed cash offers over the last couple of months that he's seen in years. And part of the reason is the marketplace right now. There's so much uncertainty that we don't know where real estate prices are going to be. We don't know where the rate is going to be. Interest rates all over the place. What are tariffs going to do? Today, news with Canada. Get the uncertainty out of your life. Go to chrislindahl.com. Get a guaranteed cash offer. What is it worth to you to know that your house will have a guaranteed buyer, to be able to pick a closing date that works, to not have to lift a finger to get your house ready for sale, and do it with a guy I trust and has more than 4,000 five-star reviews? It's a great guy. Chris Lindahl will take care of you. Get to chrislindahl.com. Get your guaranteed cash offer today and start packing. Terms and conditions may apply.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
News that matters. Conversations that count. News Talk 830 WCCO. 1029 HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Always streaming on the free Odyssey app. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. U.S. stocks closed at an all-time high today. Business reporter Jason Brooks begins our coverage.
Investors celebrated trade developments and economic readings by lifting the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ to all-time highs, bouncing back from the depths of bear market territory in early April when tariffs rattled the market.
There was some concern for investors today about the trade war, as Linda Kenyon reports.
President Trump says he is immediately suspending trade talks with Canada over plans to tax U.S. technology firms through what is known as a digital services fee. The president calls this, quote, a direct and blatant attack on our country. Canada's tax is set to take effect on Monday. It would impose a 3% levy on companies like Amazon, Google, and Airbnb, and would apply retroactively.
The president celebrated a Supreme Court ruling today. Contributor Tom Dupree says it's putting an end to something many presidents have complained about.
The Supreme Court basically said that a single federal judge generally does not have the power to issue a nationwide injunction, which can freeze a president's order in its tracks across the United States.
Attorney General Pam Bondi.
These injunctions have blocked our policies, from tariffs to military readiness to immigration to foreign affairs, fraud, abuse, and many other issues. The judges have tried to seize the executive branch's power, and they cannot do that. No longer.
The president has been setting his sights on another university.
I'm Peter King. UVA President James Ryan is resigning under pressure from the Justice Department after refusing to follow the Trump administration's orders to end the school's DEI policies. The administration has targeted mostly Ivy League schools. This is the first known attempt to pressure a public university. The Justice Department has reportedly said Ryan's resignation would be a way to resolve the investigation into the school.
Katrina Kaufman's been following the closing arguments by the defense in the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs.
Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo acknowledged Combs battered his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, but argued the prosecution's star witness wasn't defenseless, adding the couple were, quote, a great modern love story. The defense told the jury their client did not do any of the things he's charged with, urging them to acquit him.
Former Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman is lying in state at the state's Capitol Rotunda. Her alleged killer, Vance Belter, was in court today in a suicide prevention suit. He denied during the court hearing being suicidal. Again, on Wall Street, the Dow finished the day 432 points higher. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive. Protect your auto, home, and business with Progressive and get 24/7 coverage. See if you can save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
Minnesota's trusted voice. Every hour on the hour. Let's get you caught up with what's happening now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly cloudy, 71 degrees at 4:03. I'm Laura Oakes. And as we just heard on CBS News, a moving and history-making gathering at the Minnesota State Capitol this afternoon as House Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman, her husband Mark, and beloved dog lie in state following a politically motivated assassination that shook the Twin Cities and the country earlier this month. WCCO's Taylor Rivera joins us live from the Capitol Rotunda. Taylor.
Laura, it's tough to capture the atmosphere here, where I've witnessed both tears and laughter from mourners. The Capitol itself is packed, and the line from the door to the Hortman casket took about 30 minutes to pass through. But despite the crowd, the mood is incredibly solemn. And once you reach the area where the three are on display, it's quiet with only the soft sound of sniffles breaking the silence. One thing that really stands out is just how many service dogs are here, especially golden retrievers. I've even heard from some of their owners that these dogs were actually former playmates of the Hortman's dog, Gilbert. And even as the day winds down and we enter the final hour of the event, the line is still down the street with people continuing to pass through the rotunda, making for an unforgettable day here in St. Paul. Laura?
All right. Thank you very much. Taylor Rivera reporting live from the Minnesota State Capitol this afternoon. A private funeral for the Hortmans is tomorrow morning, where former Vice President Kamala Harris is expected to be in attendance. We'll be carrying that funeral live on our website, WCCOradio.com. It starts at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, we learned today the man accused of assassinating the Hortmans has been on suicide watch at the Sherburne County Jail. Vance Belter briefly appeared in federal court in St. Paul today as his attorneys asked for and were granted a continuance to July 3rd, saying Belter is sleep deprived and has been treated poorly in the jail. Belter himself telling the judge he hasn't really slept in 12 to 14 days, but denied that he was suicidal. Nurses at several hospitals in Duluth have filed a 10-day intent to strike notice. It comes amid stalled contract talks as nurses push for things like better staffing ratios and scheduling and workplace violence prevention. Twin Cities union nurses also have authorized a strike but have not yet filed that required 10-day notice to do so. St. Paul Public Works with a safety warning to residents: beware of open storm sewers on city streets. Department Director Sean Kershaw says vandals have removed at least 150 protective grates, dropping them into the sewers. He says they pose a safety hazard to walkers, bikers, and drivers.
We're grateful that the public, like they have been on copper wire theft, has been very, very helpful. So the public is a partner with us in trying to address this. And we're grateful that people are keeping their eyes open.
He says anyone who notices suspicious activity around storm sewers should call 911. Crews are working to retrieve and replace those grates as quickly as possible. It is Pride Weekend in the Twin Cities. Crews have been setting up Loring Park for the last 2 weeks in preparation for an even larger festival crowd than last year, when over 500,000 people attended. Director of Programming, Kelsey Alto.
We've had such an influx of people moving to Minnesota. So every time we've been posting about what's new at Pride, what's coming up for the festival, there are people in our comments saying, I'm so excited. I just moved here from Texas. I'm really excited to get connected to the community. This is such a beautiful opportunity to not only get connected to the community, but also the resources that are available in Minnesota.
And the annual Pride Parade is scheduled for Sunday morning, 11 a.m. down Hennepin Avenue downtown. WCCO News Time is 4:06.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Well, the crash 494 eastbound near Lindale has been taken care of. Traffic remains a bit slow. Those who come in from West Bush Lake Road, traveling north 35E near Little Canada Road, the accident that was working there has been cleared. All lanes opened up. Still some congestion, though, as you come up from downtown St. Paul. Highway 36 slows both directions between Lexington and 35. And if you're going to be traveling east 94, expect some slowdowns as you make way through the tunnel, heading out toward Riverside and 35W southbound. You head toward the area of 46th Street, just getting rid of a crash off to the left side, rather, in that area. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
choose Herbert and Gerbert's when you want fresh ingredients for a perfect sandwich like the Italian Flash or the Turkey Avocado Norma. Funky names are full of flavor. And don't forget our hearty soups and chili. Stop by or order ahead online. HerbertandGerberts.com.
Now the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Brought to you by Herbert and Gerbert's. Fresh ingredients on sandwiches always. And don't forget the soup. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Will be mostly cloudy overnight tonight, falling back to 63. There will be storms firing up in western Minnesota. That rain likely makes it to the Twin Cities by early tomorrow morning. Partly cloudy during the day tomorrow. It's going to be hot and humid with a high of 89. Muggy, as I mentioned, with showers and thunderstorms popping by late afternoon into the evening hours. Sunday, that rain should clear out early, mostly cloudy during the day with a few scattered showers possible. Still humid with a high of 85.
Mostly cloudy right now, 71 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Minnesota's front row seat to everything that matters. News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie. Just DeRUSH. It's drive time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise.
I'm super excited to introduce to you
Jason DeRUSH.
All right, before we get to Card DeSharks, Laura just gave me this statement that came in, and I want to share it. There's a video on my Instagram right now that expresses some of my frustration with the wife of our alleged assassin, Vance Belter's wife. So, you heard in Laura's news that during the court proceeding today, Vance Belter claimed he can't get sleep, and he called the Sherburne County jail conditions, quote, terrible conditions. So the sheriff, Joel Brott, who maybe Monday, Sheriff Brott wants to come on the show, because after you hear some of what the sheriff said, I think you will be giving a standing ovation to the sheriff, who says, on a day when hundreds of grieving Minnesotans waited in long lines to pay their respects to Melissa and Mark Hortman, it's offensive and disgusting that the man accused of assassinating them stood before a federal judge and painted himself the victim. So this guy claimed that he couldn't sleep. So they checked the security cameras. Oh, guess what? He was sleeping. He was sleeping, or at least resting peacefully, as the sheriff said, with his eyes closed for 7 straight hours, from 10:40 p.m. Thursday until 5:45 a.m. Friday. After he returned from his court appearance today, jail personnel checked live security camera footage of his cell, and he was resting peacefully again with his eyes closed. Man, I hope he sleeps great. What an absolute, I don't know. One of the nice things about being a radio host is that I don't have to be a newsman. And I could just tell you what I feel about this stuff. And this guy, give me a break. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if there's some noises. You know how you can have a good night's sleep? Don't kill someone. I think that's a pretty effective way to do it. All right, Dan, should we play a game? What do you think?
Let's transition to some fun.
Back in my TV days, we would say, shifting gears. We're just going to shift it. Hit the music. Here we go. The rain came down hard. It was a deluge, but now skies are clear, and I have some great news. It's Card DeSharks Friday to begin your weekend. If you win today, $50 to Gesture Concepts will send on Card DeSharks. 2 contestants ready to run. Scott is in Lakeville. Scott, you are on Card DeSharks. How is it going?
Hey, pretty good. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing well. Lakeville, I think, is a somewhat underrated suburb. It doesn't get a lot of hype. What is the best thing about living in Lakeville, Scott?
I would say I like the neighborhoods, and there's actually quite a bit of shopping and good restaurants there to eat too.
Favorite spot? Where do you like to eat in Lakeville?
I like actually the brewery downtown has got some good food there, so I like that.
I heard you've got a brand new, there's a speakeasy in Lakeville that I've been meaning to come down and check out. Maybe I'll come check it out tomorrow. It's called the Farmer's Cellar. It's like hidden inside a gas station. Pretty cool. That's in Lakeville. Come on.
Yeah, I did see that on the news. That looks awesome.
It looks really good. Yeah, very good. Scott, stand by. You are competing against Colette in Dayton.
Yeah.
Colette, welcome back.
Thank you.
I've missed you.
Yeah, I've missed you.
All right. It's a big day for us here. It's our 3rd anniversary. 3 years that they've been letting us get away with this nonsense.
And I think I've listened to every show.
That's Colette knows
Really?
all my jokes. All my
I
jokes.
do.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could, it's like my wife could tell when they're coming. I think you probably could tell when they're coming too.
For sure.
Very good. All right. Well, you guys know how we play the game. If you're new to Card DeSharks on the radio, you also can watch the live stream. It's live on YouTube. It's live on X and on Facebook. If you go to YouTube, WCCO radio channel, you can click on the live button, and also you should subscribe, and then you get new videos and all sorts of good stuff by giving us a subscribe. Here we go for $50 at Gesture Concepts. I was at their newest restaurant in Excelsior this week called Shiki, which was like a noodle, dumpling, ramen place. Very good. Very good in Excelsior. So here is the first question, which goes to Scott. We start with a question of 100 people. Scott will give us an answer. 0 to 100. Colette will say higher or lower. Whoever's right gets control of our cards. The cards are dealt behind me. No Laura today. Newsroom is busy. So we're doing our best here. So, Scott, here we go. We asked 100 drivers, have you ever talked your way out of a speeding ticket? How many drivers said yes? Scott, have you ever had a speeding ticket?
Actually, too many, and I haven't been able to get out of any of them.
One time in my life, I talked my way out. Well, I don't know if I really talked my way out of it. It was in Milwaukee. I was pulled over. I was just very business-like about it. And the officer took my driver's license, looks at my name. And at the time, I was a reporter for the ABC station there. And he says, I know who you are. He's like, I can't give you a ticket. And I'm like, you certainly could give me a ticket. Like, I didn't want anyone to go back to the cop shop and be like, this dumb TV reporter played the don't you know who I am card. I did not. But he didn't give me the ticket, which was really, really nice. It was really nice. What do you think, Scott? How many drivers would say they've talked their way out of a speeding ticket?
Oh, man, that's a tough one, but I'll try 47.
47, says Scott. Colette, I can't imagine you would ever speed. You strike me as a rule follower.
Oh, I have twice.
Twice? How much over were you going?
Well, the time a Texas State Trooper stopped me, I was going 90.
Whoa. Texas, though.
Texas State Trooper didn't give me a ticket.
Whoa. Wow.
I know.
Did you make an excuse or what happened?
No, he just didn't give me a ticket.
Wow.
That's all. Another time I cried my way out of it.
All right.
So, yeah.
My mom tried crying her way out of a ticket once. She was not successful. Not successful.
Oh, worked for me.
It's all right. Well, Scott says 47 had talked their way out of a speeding ticket. Do you think it's higher or lower?
I'm going to say higher.
Colette says higher. Successfully talking your way out of a speed limit ticket. Dan, if you've never been, you're the son of a.
I am the son
police
of a retired police officer. I was stopped once for speeding, but I didn't get a ticket because the guy got a call right in the middle of talking to me
something
about
else
it.
to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Said he literally looked at me and said, "You're very lucky today. Slow down," and then split.
Wow. How much over were you going?
I was probably, I think it was a city street, so I was probably doing like 45 and a 35 kind of thing.
My last ticket was in, famously chronicled here on the show, was in New Ulm. On the way to watch like my nieces tumbling in like a gymnastics competition in New Ulm, and a state trooper was not moved by my story of family love.
Wasn't having it.
No, I got that. I certainly got that ticket outside of New Home. All right. Colette says higher. Scott says 47. The actual number of people who have talked their way out of a speeding ticket, just 22. Way low. I'm surprised that it's that low. But Scott,
I've been lucky.
Yeah, good news for Scott. You have control of the board, Scott. Do you want the red cards or the blue cards?
Let's try the blue card.
All right, Scott's going blue. Flip. Let me get the microphone over here. We're going to flip your opening card. It is a 3. You have a 3. That's a nice start. Higher or lower than a 3?
Let's go higher on the 3.
Higher than a 3. It is an ace. Oh my goodness! And Scott with a nice start.
That's an ace. ACE.
Got it.
Making sure.
We don't
Making sure everybody's aware.
That's right. We
Make
don't
it
want
very
trouble.
clear.
All right. ACE for you, Scott. Higher or lower?
Since that's a high one, I'll go lower.
Lower than an ace. It is a 7. It is lower than an ace, but kind of a tricky one for you there. You could freeze on the 7, or you could roll the dice. What do you want to do, Scott?
Let's freeze on that 7.
All right, very good. Scott freezes on that 7. We'll take an opportunity to freeze as well. We'll take a break. Back with Colette's first chance at a question. Card DeSharks, $50 at one of the Gesture Concepts restaurants. Go to Starling in Edina, 50th and Highway 100. Go check that out. Drive time back in just a minute on CC.
It's the afternoon ride with Jason DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Tureen Dermatology wants to see you. It's Jason here for my friend, Dr. Mohiba Tureen, and the more than 25 board-certified providers at Tureen Dermatology. Now, the Tureen team is ready to take care of you no matter what your skincare need is. And I really want you to get that annual skincare checkup. My wife actually goes twice a year because there is a history of skin cancer in her family. And my in-laws, her parents, both go to Tureen Dermatology as well. My dad has the same thing. So the first time that I went for a full body skincare checkup, I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous about it. You know, you're like, I don't know, what is this all about? How does this go? And it was great. It was great. They make you feel so comfortable. Dr. Tureen and her PAs, the whole operation, just, you're going to love it. Don't mess around with your skin. In Minnesota, we're in the top 3 states of new melanoma diagnosis, and melanoma is a deadly form of skin cancer. But the good news is if you catch it early, it is so treatable. Go to Tureen Dermatology. 9 locations all throughout the Twin Cities. They're in Hudson. They're in Lakeville, brand new. They're in Monticello. I go to Roseville. You should go to Tureen Dermatology, Tareen, TureenDermatology.com.
Advantage Seamless Gutters is now Advantage Home Pros. New look, same pros. Still locally owned and now taking care of all your gutter and roofing needs. Summer is around the corner. Don't spend your weekends on a ladder cleaning your gutters when you could be spending time with family and planning that summer trip. Trust your local gutter pros, Advantage Home Pros. Now your local custom roofing pros. With the highest quality workmanship and materials, our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros. AdvantageHomePros.com.
When a loved one passes or it's time to settle an estate, the valuables left behind can feel overwhelming. At American Rare Coin and Collectibles in Bloomington, we help families, trustees, and advisors navigate these moments with clarity and care. For over 30 years, American Rare Coin has evaluated and purchased coin and precious metal collections with honesty, transparency, and immediate payment. Located on American Boulevard, we make the process simple. Peace of mind starts with your appointment. Visit AmericanRareCoinAndCollectibles.com.
Oh, by the way, Ivan's no longer on the project. His wife got a new job, so they're moving across the country.
Robin's top researcher is deviating to a new market. This isn't standard.
And now we're short-staffed. Who's going to finish all these projects?
She needs a cluster of new data analysts, and there's no margin for error.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Selling your home, it's one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. You could go it alone, trying to navigate market trends, determine fair pricing, and tackle tricky negotiations on your own. You could second-guess every decision, wondering if you're doing it right. Then there's the showings, the offers, and the mountain of paperwork. Or you could work with the expertise of a realtor, here to guide and help protect as you make your next big move. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. Right by you.
Summer's coolest mattress deals are going on now at Ashley's Stars and Stripes sale. This summer, save up to $1,000 on select mattresses. And say goodbye to hot sleep and save up to $500 on the best-selling Tempur-Breeze collection. Plus, feel the freedom to snooze now and pay later with 0% interest until 2030 on in-store purchases made with your Ashley Advantage Synchrony credit card. Better sleep starts at Ashley. Subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Let's roll with more of Jason DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Card DeSharks brought to you by our friends at Jester Concepts, Parlor, Butcher and the Boar, Rustica. We appreciate their support. They're providing the gift card for the winner of this game. You can watch us play Card DeSharks on YouTube. Need just a couple more subscribers. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you go to WCCO Radio, click subscribe. You don't actually have to watch the show over there. I don't care. Just need a couple more subscribers. There's an internal competition here, so I need to get to 1,000. We have two great contestants. Scott has turned over 3 cards and frozen. Colette has not had a shot yet, but now's your time, Colette. Here comes the question. You ready?
Ready.
We asked 100 parents, have you ever told your child a ridiculous lie just to get them to behave? How many parents have told their kids a ridiculous lie to get them to behave?
Oh, wow.
I mean, the question is like, what do we mean by ridiculous? I guess it's there are different categories of lies, right, Colette? Oh, I think Colette is Colette breaking up a little bit there, Dan? No.
Yeah, I don't hear it all.
No, I don't hear either, Scott. We're going to check on Colette. Dan will pick up the line and see if she's still there. Sometimes it's our system. All right.
Yeah, by the way, congratulations on getting picked up for another year or two since we got a minute. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you, Scott. Yeah, it's very, in this business and the way things are going, just in broadcasting in general, to have them pick up, you're like, oh, thank goodness. So it's been fun.
Yeah, that's great.
It's been fun, man. When you're in the sort of facing 50 was when I made that decision, right? Where it's like, all right, if I still have a lot of years of good working years ahead of me, I want to go learn something new. So it's been terrific. And the audience has been amazing, except for Colette. Oh, wait, Colette's back on the line. Colette?
Oh, I'm here. I'm here.
Colette, you're up. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right.
Yeah,
Your
ready.
phone was breaking up a little bit. So go ahead. How many parents have told their kid a ridiculous lie just to get them to behave?
Say 80.
80, says Colette. Scott, I mean, a lot of us, I've certainly told my kids ridiculous lie. I think I still do. They just don't believe it as much when they're 20 and 17 years old. That's all.
About the same age as my daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. They know everything at this age. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think? 80 said Colette. Do you think it's higher or lower than that? The number of parents who have told their kids a ridiculous lie.
I think it's going to be high, but I'll say just a hair under 80.
All right. Scott says lower. The actual number who have told a ridiculous lie is 84, just a little bit higher. Colette with a really good guess.
I was thinking Little Orphan Annie and the Goblins will get you. You know?
My grandma used to tell me that if you didn't wear your pajamas to sleep at night, the bear butt biter would come and get you.
Oh, wow.
And it worked. I was like, wow, I better put my pajamas on. Can't have the bear butt biter coming to get me. Whatever the bear butt biter was, I don't know, but that was her lie. Colette, here we go.
Right.
You've got a 2 to start things off. Very nice card. Higher or lower than a 2?
Higher.
Higher than a 2. It's a king. It is higher than a 2. And here we go. Higher or lower than a king?
Lower.
Lower than a king. It's a 3. And Colette with 3 cards turned. 2 to go. You can freeze at any time, but you're on that 3. What do you want to do, Colette?
Higher.
Higher than a 3. It's an 8. It is higher. And now you're in a pickle. 1 card to go.
Did you say ace?
No, that is an 8. EIGHT. That is the one that comes after 7 and before 9.
Yeah,
I got it.
Want to be clear. Want to be clear. EIGHT. Do you want to go higher or lower, or do you want to freeze?
Freeze.
All right. Both Colette has 1 card to go. Scott has 2. This next question is critical, and it goes to you, Scott. We asked 100 office workers, have you ever taken office supplies home for personal use? Ooh. How many? I mean, this is essentially a nice way of saying, like, how many thieves are out there, right? How many workers say, yes, I have taken office supplies home for personal use?
Oh, man. I'll say 75.
75, says Scott. Colette, do you think it's higher or lower?
I'm going to say lower.
Colette says lower. The actual number who have taken office supplies home for personal use? I'm shocked. It's so low. 39.
Bunch of liars.
39. It is lower, which Colette is great news for you. I assume you want to change that 8. You can change the 8 if you'd like to.
I could change it. Just okay. Yep. Is that
so? Then I will take the top card from this stack of cards and just replace the 8 with something else.
Okay. Do I have another option?
Well,
or you can just guess higher or lower than the 8.
Yes. So you're stuck on an 8, which is kind of a crappy card. So you probably want to change it.
Change. Yep.
All right. We flip the 8 and it becomes a queen. Definitely.
Whoa.
A good change there. And you've got 1 card to go. Scott, I'm not feeling great for you. Colette, you're on a queen. Colette's been
that's trouble.
That is trouble. Colette's been victimized by these cards before, though. So don't count yourself out. Colette, you're on a queen. 1 card separating you from the win. Higher or lower than a queen?
Lower.
Lower than a queen. It is a 7. It is lower. And Colette, you have gotten the victory. Scott, you were great. You were a great contestant, but Colette just had a nice run of cards there. Thanks for listening, Scott. Thanks for the nice words about the show as well. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Have a great weekend, guys.
You too. There goes Scott. And Colette, you did it. You've got $50 at any of the Jester Concepts restaurants. You're in Dayton. So probably those Excelsior restaurants are the closest for you. They're going to be opening Mirabelle at the probably in a couple of weeks. Another new restaurant. They got a parlor in Excelsior. Or come on downtown. Come to Edina, any of the great restaurants. So we appreciate you, Colette. Nice job. Congratulations.
Great. Thank you.
Colette stays on the line so Dan can get her info and good stuff. We're going to break. Twins are on the air early today. So pregame starts at 5:30. And that means Dan Hayes is next. We'll talk about the Minnesota Twins. They're hot right now, baby. We got a win streak cooking. We'll talk with Dan Hayes in just a minute here on Drive Time.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Summer's here, and now's a perfect time for that new roof. Head to honestexteriors.com and get an instant quote. Get 0% financing on roofing, siding, windows, and gutters at Honest Exteriors. Local pros, honest work. Visit honestexteriors.com.
Hi, Denny Long here. Join us every Saturday for the Home Improvement Show by Lindis Construction. Andy Lindis and I will be taking your home improvement questions both by phone and by text every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock here on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Thielen Meats of Pierce is where tradition meets taste.
Family grown, employee owned. We've mastered the art of meat.
That's why we're the #1 meat market in Minnesota.
And we're located right here in Pierce.
Check out our mouthwatering selection at thielenmeats.com.
Better yet, stop in and see for yourself. We're serving up love one cut at a time.
Thielen Meats, from our family to your feast.
No meal's complete without Thielen Meats
of Pierce.
At QC Kinetics, we're all about keeping you in the game, helping you get lasting relief from joint pain. That's why we're excited to announce that QC Kinetics is now partnering with the National Pickleball League. So many of our satisfied patients are avid pickleball players, and they're thrilled with how we've helped them get back on the court. As lead sponsor of the National Pickleball League, we're committed to help pickleball fans of all ages with the latest, most advanced regenerative cell treatments. These treatments use your body's own healing power, revitalizing and restoring damaged joint tissue the natural way, with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Whether you're a pickleball fanatic or enjoy golf or running or tennis, stay in the game with help from QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics, proud to promote active, pain-free living as a lead sponsor of the National Pickleball League. Call now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 612-254-7123. That's 612-254-7123. 612-254-7123.
Thinking about buying or selling a business, the right legal team makes all the difference. At Helmuth & Johnson, our team specializes in sophisticated mergers and acquisitions, guiding you through every negotiation, contract, and closing with skill and precision. From due diligence to deal structuring, we are 100% client-focused, protecting your interests so you can focus on success. Big or small, we make complex transactions seamless. Visit hjlawfirm.com. That's hjlawfirm.com. Helmuth & Johnson, on your side, at your side, for all of your business needs.
612 Saturdays are back at Target Field. Enjoy $6 drinks, $1 snacks, and $2 food when gates open.
I'm from the 952. Can I enjoy 612 Saturdays?
The 952 is welcome.
I'm from the 218.
218, 651. Everyone is welcome at 612 Saturdays.
I'm from the 313. How about me?
That's Detroit.
Yeah.
Sure. Enjoy the weekend wind-up with 612 Saturdays presented by Carbliss. $6 drinks, $1 snacks, and $2 food. When we're together, the Twins rise as one. Join in at twins.com/tickets.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-388-6607, 800-388-6607, 800-388-6607.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is Traffic and Weather Together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Crash working South 35W near 50th Street. The activity off the left side. Traffic slows as you come down from Lake Street. North 169 jammed up. Highway 7 to Medicine Lake Road. And then again, as you make way towards 610. If you're going to be traveling 94 westbound, that's got some slowing. And make way past 169 over to Weaver Lake Road. And then again, as you make way through Rogers. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Jason DeRUSH here. The Canopy Group represents 16 different insurance companies, not just one. They give you options. Each year, they'll review your program so you don't have to, making sure you get the best coverage at the best price. Do like I did. Go to thecanopygroup.com.
Now the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
All right, weather forecast brought to you by the Canopy Group. Here is Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
A pretty unsettled forecast. Mostly cloudy tonight. There will be thunderstorms in western Minnesota with some heavy rain possible early tomorrow morning in the metro. Then we dry out, partly cloudy, hot, humid, a high of 89. We could see some thunderstorms firing up in the afternoon and into the evening. Some of those could be severe. We'll keep a close eye on that. Sunday, mostly cloudy with some scattered showers, still humid and warm with a high of 85.
Partly cloudy, 72 here on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSH.
20 plus years of being a news anchor and reading teleprompters your whole career, and then somebody gives you an opportunity to just say what you really think, and you just get unhinged and you just go for it.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
That music does mean it's time to visit with Dan Hayes. I'm going to get to Dan in just a second, but I want to update you on a little bit of breaking news. As you know, Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark, and their dog, Gilbert, have been lying in state at the state capitol. Within the last 20 minutes or so, former President Joe Biden arrived in St. Paul in the Capitol, paid his respects. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see a picture from Star Tribune reporter Allison Kite. You see Joe Biden standing alone in a very moving photo with those two caskets and the urn with the family dog. Very, very touching moment. A number of reporters saying that the former president spent about 40 minutes or so. This is AJ Legault at KARE 11 saying that Joe Biden spent about 40 minutes visiting with Senator John Hoffman and Yvette at the hospital, saying that the senator is alert, making gains, and has started walking. So that's the update from KARE 11. So we'll have the latest in the local news update at the top of the hour, but I wanted to let you know that. First woman ever to lie in state at the state capitol, but just pure class by the former president coming out to pay his respects and to visit with the Hoffman family. Nothing but respect to him for that. Okay, it's 4:40. Twins baseball on CCO tonight. That game is at 5. Well, pregame at 5:30. First pitch at 6:10. They're in Detroit, and we visit with our friend Dan Hayes. Dan, it's good to be with you.
Good to be with you. And first pitch at 6:10. We hope.
We hope. I knew rain was in the forecast, right?
Yeah, it looks like there's like a 65% chance at 7. And, I'm just going to say, based on what we saw yesterday and experienced throughout April, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Can you explain sort of what the logic is and like how they're making these decisions these days? Because it's
like the 4-hour delay yesterday?
Yes. I feel we used to not have that. What is the story?
Yeah. Well, first, let me tell you, there's some good news for people who were there yesterday. Anybody who held a ticket for yesterday's game, the Twins are giving all those fans an additional ticket.
Oh, wow.
They made the decision today. So
that's cool.
They're gonna reward anybody that was there and had to leave. I mean, anyways, as it would be if you left, they're going for goodwill. That's a great move.
That's a great move. That's really
nice.
And they did that. Tough. That was some strategy as far as like the Mariners weren't scheduled to come back here, right?
Right. And that's the thing. If it's Cleveland or Detroit and there's another trip in, you play a doubleheader. If it's a team that's even closer, you play you have them come back. But it's Seattle, and that's, a 4-hour flight. You have to find a day off between the two teams that matches the rest of the way. Then you have to see what happens. And, at that point, teams will be playing 22, 24 straight games because those makeups usually occur on that one off day that they have in like a 20-something day stretch. And MLBPA really kind of frowns upon that from fans. Or
the players union.
Yeah. They don't want players doing that. They don't want them to surrender those days off. So you have a day like yesterday where you sit around for an additional 4 hours and wait. And both teams were, the Twins were only going to Detroit, losing an hour. The Mariners were going to Texas, so they were in the same time zone. So from that standpoint, it was feasible to do it. And it's unfortunate. And, I wasn't at the game yesterday. I went to I might have been at the Palace last night to see the Killers play a little.
Well, and I want to hear. I want to hear about this concert because the Killers. You and I were both at the Killers when they were at Target Field, but last night they were in front of the Palace. Only holds about 2,500 people, right?
It was amazing, but yeah, no. So I wasn't there, but I know that a few of the writers reported that they were kind of stunned at how much of the crowd stuck around for the game yesterday.
Yeah.
And they got rewarded with a nice, blowout victory. Twins actually won and played nice, so a good game. But they're messy days, and we've seen them so much. I think we've had 3, maybe 4 delays in excess of 3 hours this year. It's kind of like bring your book if you're us and you're filling time. So.
Yes, we jumped in and did a little show instead of making people listen to Hall of Fame induction speeches from Twins history or whatever they put on. They're doing their best. What are you supposed to fill the time with? But that's kind of
exactly. I can only go in there and talk about Royce Lewis for so much time.
All right, let's talk about this week because it's been an interesting week for the Minnesota Twins. Things started horribly. Right?
Yes.
Like that awful weekend series against the Brewers. And then Monday, you're like, I was doing the math and you're like, if you go back to Thursday against the Reds, they only gave up 5, no big deal in that one, but they gave up 17 against the Brewers, then 9, then 9, then 11 against the Mariners.
Yeah. It's like the last 7 home games, it had been 80 runs allowed.
Like just
crazy. With Monday.
Yeah.
It's been terrible. And the pitching, the last 2 days has been a nice respite. You hope for the Twins' sake that it's kind of going to keep going that way. The track record, the first 2 months of the season, the track record suggests they're capable. But the last 3 weeks, you're thinking maybe it's a mirage because the pitching's been so bad. But they got it together a little bit. But that was just the start of a interesting, crazy week. So
you reported on one of my favorite things in sports when you have the players organized meeting. So the pitchers, because I understand in theory how when you get the guys together and you have a pitchers meeting and it's no coaches, no managers. It's just you guys looking at each other and saying whatever you want to say, that there could be value in that. On the other hand, it seems preposterous that professional athletes who are making huge money would need that would make a difference. I don't know. I guess it works when you win the next day, but I just don't know. I never know what to make about it, but it always cracks me up, envisioning these grown men just in their uniforms yelling at each other.
And it's funny because Rocco actually is he knows there's not a lot of value in repeat meetings because he thinks if I'm talking to these guys way too much, what value does that hold? You hold individual meetings, you talk to players in your office, you sessions on the side, that kind of thing. But you don't get the group together because if you go to that well one too many times, you run out of chances for that to impact. And so I think they believe that occasionally getting the group together, and I think he's said that he's probably pulled the group together 3 times this year so far. Sometimes it's just reassuring and getting guys back on the same page. I don't know. Look, with the pitching, this team was so good for the first 2 months. They were 4th in ERA. All the stats were top 5. And then you have this problem jump up, and part of it, it probably stems from Pablo Lopez's injury and Zebby Matthews' injury. But, for a week, you're like, this isn't a problem. We don't really need to address this. And then for the second week, you're probably just in awe of that it keeps going the way it is. And then it goes into a third week, and it was spectacularly bad. And I think, you look at, it's funny because basically the pitchers have stopped executing with strike 2. And we've seen the walks increase because that pitches get fouled off, that kind of thing. But I think they were just trying to reassure guys, let's get back to what we were doing. And it is the idea. I agree with you. It's kind of silly, but I think sometimes when it comes down to it, this game is as much mental. Everybody's extremely talented that's here. So we know that it's 90% physical, right? But that 10% that is mental is what separates these guys from the guys that don't make it. And I think, it's just managing humans and getting them motivated.
Yeah.
So I agree with you for the most part. I think they get overblown. This one, I don't think Chris Paddock was really fired up when he talked about it. And, when we had talked to Pete Mackey earlier in the day, and it got out that the meeting happened later. Paddock was like, I was ready to run through a wall. And so for a guy to say that, I don't think he was really being dramatic. I think he was kind of took it in the way they wanted it to. So cool. It seemed to have the impact. But again, Paddock started that night. He gave up 5 runs. He had 1 bad inning. So the meeting clearly had a little bit of an impact for Joe Ryan and maybe Simeon Woods Richardson, but I don't know how productive that is for the guy who's supposed to be locked in and getting ready to start to have a fiery meeting. So you never know.
You never know. Exactly. Stand by. Dan Hayes, I want to talk to you about the story at theathletic.com that you wrote about online threats and the former police officer, an incredible guy who is the director of security for the Twins. So we'll talk about that. Plus an update on Royce Lewis, his injury, some good news tonight. We'll talk about that in a minute.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Chris Lindahl. When you think about Chris Lindahl, what do you think about? Billboards? Sure. Arms wide out, naturally. Do you think about a good guy who is generous and caring? I hope so. That's the Chris Lindahl I know. The billboard guy is one guy. I know the real dude. And he is a Minnesotan, lifelong Minnesotan, went to college in Mankato, and came up with just a heck of an idea, the guaranteed cash offer. How much is your home really worth? And what are you willing, how much headache are you willing to put up with? More and more Minnesotans are deciding, give me the guaranteed cash offer. It's guaranteed. I choose the closing date. I choose my moving day. And that's worth something. It's worth a lot. More and more people are doing this because of the uncertainty in the real estate market and the uncertainty in the interest rate environment. Go to chrislindahl.com, Chris with a K, Lindahl.com. Find out what your guaranteed cash offer is. And if you like it, start packing.
When it comes to DSPs, usability matters. Some platforms bury you in complexity. Results-driven advertising shouldn't look like a chemistry experiment. Viant's AI-powered DSP streamlines setup, automates measurement and optimization, and keeps you in control. Less clicking, more strategy. And with proven CTV leadership across premium publishers, Viant works smarter and delivers stronger. Why are you still trading on a desk? Visit Viant.ai to unlock real results today.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com. If you have a 2004 or newer vehicle that's out of warranty or about to be, Endurance is urgently notifying U.S. drivers about their low-cost vehicle coverage plan designed to save drivers thousands on rising vehicle repair costs. Those who qualify can pick their plan, coverage, and repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental cars included. All covered repairs get paid directly to the repair shop for you. Call now for your free quote. Call 800-291-3143. 800-291-3143.
Imagine placing an investment or trade without fear. Knowing that big institutions have taken the same trade as you, pushing the price higher, which only they can do. You get to ride the wave of institutional demand. If not, your plan will protect you from the downside. This is how our students are taught to invest in trade. Right now, you can sign up for a free investing class where we'll outline our strategy for following the smart money. Text investing to 210-210. We'll also review strategies for growing a retirement portfolio, how professionals profit when stocks are falling, and how to protect your investments against inflation. With a 25-year history, local classrooms, and one-on-one support, you're not alone. And now it's your turn. Sign up for a free investing class today. Text investing to 210-210 or go to learnwithota.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem.
Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is Traffic and Weather Together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
35W southbound near 50th Street. The accident off the left side just cleared out a couple of minutes ago. Still slow, though, as you come down from Lake Street. 35E northbound, watching slowdowns there right out of St. Paul, heading up to 694. 694 westbound jammed up from 35W over to 252 and 10 eastbound, watching congestion. Now, this is on the eastbound side, so get ready for that as you come down from Highway 65 to 35W. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCL.
In its centennial year, the DAV of Minnesota remains dedicated to helping thousands of veterans access the benefits they've earned. And you can make a difference. Volunteer to transport veterans, advocate for improved programs, or donate today at davmn.org.
Now the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
DAV of Minnesota brings it the forecast tonight, mostly cloudy, low of 63. Tomorrow, hot, humid, 89. Storms possible by the evening. 72 on CCO.
DeRUSH now returns on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Let's take the current temp of your Minnesota Twins. Brought to you by Chef IQ Sense. Get your wireless meat thermometer now at chefiq.com.
Dan Hayes is with us from The Athletic. Temp of the team. Dan, what would you say?
Lukewarm at best.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's not great. I mean, look, the last 2 days.
I was thinking warming. I'm with you. Mildly warming, yes.
Yeah, last 2 days is good. Big series here this weekend, with a chance to play a Marlins team that is not very good after that. So if you can somehow get a series in Detroit and win 4 or 5 going into that Marlins series, you have a shot at getting healthy again.
Right.
But
right.
It's a big series here for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, if you get swept, you're in a world of hurt because we're already, 10 behind, something like that?
I mean, it's funny. Detroit's so good. I don't know that the division's even.
It's not even a question, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 11 and a half games behind. Like, they are just cooking.
They're amazing. They're a lot of fun. So, should be a good series, a good kind of litmus test for them.
Royce Lewis, rehab assignment tonight, right?
Right. DHing over at St. Paul. So, that's great. I don't know. They haven't really said what the plan is yet. Is it possible that he could be back for Miami? It's possible. I don't know. It's the hamstring. They're always kind of cognizant of it, especially with him. So we'll see. He's got a couple days here. They need to show him he can get out there and play the next 3 days. And I'm sure it'll be play today, off tomorrow, play Sunday. If he shows a lot, would it shock me that he was in Miami on Tuesday? It wouldn't shock me, but you never know if they're a cautious team. It wouldn't shock me just as much if they waited till they came home.
I want everybody to go to theathletic.com and read your story about Charlie Adams, the director of security for the Twins, because you really broke the news of Bailey Ober and some of the threats that he was getting when he had such a rough outing. Fascinating story about Charlie.
Yeah, and look, I've been trying to write about Charles, I think his dad is Charlie, because we call Charles, but his dad's the 4th precinct inspector, 38-year police veteran. Right. This is a very big police family. Charles Adams, Tony Adams is the director of security for the Timberwolves. That's Charles's uncle. And even his younger sister in the police, they have this strong family connection to the North Minneapolis. And I long wanted to write about Charles because he's been the football coach at North High since 2009.
Right. Yeah.
And obviously we know what's happened there with some of the tragedies, Deshaun Hill. And so Charles is just this really captivating guy that's always a lot of fun to be around with the Twins. And this was sort of a good avenue to kind of write about him because obviously we know that players are getting threatened more often online. It's just a function of gambling. It's a function of social media and fans just thinking that they can do stupid things. And I mean, we've seen it at ballparks. We saw the fan talk to Jaron Duran back in Cleveland in the early part of the season, talking that he had admitted that he had tried to attempt his own life, and fans kind of ripped him, and that guy got ejected for life. So we've seen fan behavior be unruly and terrible. And it was just a good way to kind of show who Charles Adams is, because nobody really knows, you know, unless you're around the team every day.
It was so good. Really great piece. So check it out at theathletic.com. Thanks for being with us, Dan. CBS coming up.
Your eyes, they look like open sores. You may walk to the Jersey Shore.
Miller Marine. We sell more, that's why we're selling for less.
Play before you pay. Now at Miller Marine and Power Lodge, Minnesota's Marine and Power Sports Superstore. For a limited time, don't miss 90 days with no payments or 5.99% APR stacked on exclusive truckload price savings we're passing on directly to you. So hitch up a new 20-foot Bennington, plus a free bunk trailer, custom cover, and inflatable paddleboard or raft for only $34,999 or as low as $282 per month. Angling for more hot deals? We got fishing boats for every budget, starting at only $19,990. Ignite your summer with zero payments while you throttle up your new Bennington, Premier, Lund, Ranger, Alumacraft, Sea-Doo, Polaris, Can-Am, or CF Moto. With 5 locations in Ramsey, Brainerd, Onamia, St. Cloud, and South Rapids, we sell more, so we sell for less. But don't wait. Play before you pay and launch your adventure at Miller Marine and Power Lodge.
Miller Marine. We sell more, that's why we're selling for less at Miller Marine.
At Wealth Enhancement, we believe wealth is in the details. Our team of trusted advisors craft personalized solutions to help you achieve your financial goals. Tune in to the Your Money Show on News Talk 830 WCCO every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. or go to wealthenhancement.com to connect with one of our advisors.
News Talk 830 WCCO KMNB HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. There is another standoff between the U.S. and Canada over trade. Linda Kenyon reports from the White House.
President Trump says he's cutting off all trade talks with Canada, which just imposed taxes on American tech companies.
Canada's been a very difficult country to deal with over the years.
Speaking in the Oval Office, the president said, quote, "We have all the cards."
Economically, we have such power over Canada.
Trump's decision to cut off trade talks with Canada comes as the administration will soon announce reciprocal trade tariffs against countries with which no trade deal has been completed. Canada, he says, should learn its tariff level within a week. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
Despite that, stocks finished at record highs today, but Gus Fauché is predicting more volatility ahead.
I think that we are going to continue to have ups and downs in the market. I think that the angst over trade is going to continue. We do have the expiration of that 90-day cooling off period that President Trump talked about. Now, he said that just because the 90 days end, that doesn't mean the tariffs are going back to where they were earlier. But I think we will have some back and forth.
The Supreme Court ruled today in the birthright citizenship case that judges don't have the authority to impose nationwide injunctions. Attorney General Pam Bondi after the ruling.
These injunctions have allowed district court judges to be emperors. They vetoed all of President Trump's power, and they cannot do that.
The court also sided with Maryland parents with religious objections to school books that address gender identity and sexual orientation. Legal analyst Thane Rosenbaum.
In a 6-3 decision along ideological lines, the court held that while this case is being decided on the merits in lower courts, parents should have the right to opt out and not have their children exposed to sensitive material that conflicts with their religious beliefs.
Senate Republicans appear to have President Trump's Trump's funding bill back on track after a flurry of last-minute revisions. The president's deadline, July 4th. Another food giant is doing away with artificial dyes. As correspondent Peter King reports,
they've used this cell line seemingly forever.
With a name like Smucker's, it has to be good.
Now the makers of Smucker's jams, jellies, and other products say their foods will also have to be free of artificial colors and dyes just over 2 years. The company says it's already eliminated artificial dye from many of its products, but they're still being used in things like sugar-free jams, ice cream toppings, and in other foods like this.
Ever wonder how they get that creamy filling into the middle of a Twinkies cake?
Twinkies are made with red 40 and yellow 5. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Minnesota's trusted voice. Every hour on the hour. Let's get you caught up with what's happening now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Cloudy skies, 71 degrees at 5:03. I'm Laura Oakes. Former President Joe Biden is among the throngs paying their last respects to Minnesota House Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman, lying in state with her husband and dog at the state capitol this afternoon. Hundreds of strangers, co-workers, even several Golden Retriever service dogs have been flooding the rotunda since noon today.
I'm here because I need to honor them and their work, both of them and their dog, too. I'm so happy that their dog is part of it because our dogs are so important in our lives, our pets.
A private funeral is at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning and will be live streamed on our website, WCCOradio.com. Former Vice President Kamala Harris is expected to be in attendance. Meanwhile, the man accused of assassinating the Hortmans has been on suicide watch at the Sherburne County Jail.
Vance Belter briefly appeared in federal court in St. Paul as his attorneys asked for and were granted a continuance to July 3rd, saying Belter is sleep deprived and has been treated poorly in the jail. They told the judge Belter has no pillow, the lights are on around the clock, doors are constantly slamming, and it's been difficult to communicate with him. Belter himself told the judge he hasn't really slept in 12 to 14 days, but denied being suicidal. He was wearing a green jail uniform designed for defendants on suicide watch. His attorneys asking that he be taken off that watch and allowed to wear a traditional orange jumpsuit. Ari Bergeron, News Talk 830 WCCO.
And in a scathing statement, Sherburne County Sheriff Joel Brott today says on a day when hundreds of Minnesotans waited in long lines to pay their respects to the Hortmans, it's offensive and disgusting that the man accused of assassinating them stood before a federal judge and painted himself the victim. He says claims that he couldn't get any sleep due to deplorable jail conditions are absurd and that they have security camera video of him sleeping. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz declares a peacetime emergency to help storm recovery efforts in Beltrami County. Severe storms earlier this week caused widespread damage to property and critical infrastructure. The storms brought hurricane-force winds and caused extensive power outages as well. The emergency declaration allows for continued state support to the impacted communities. Nurses at several hospitals in Duluth have filed a 10-day intent to strike notice. It comes amid stalled contract talks as nurses push for things like better staffing ratios and workplace violence prevention. Twin Cities union nurses also have authorized a strike but have not yet filed that required 10-day notice. And just a reminder that parts of 3 major freeways in the Twin Cities will have road closures due to construction this weekend. That'll be impacting 35W 494 and Interstate 94 eastbound in St. Paul. MnDOT's Kent Barnard.
No, it shouldn't be confusing for anybody. They should just follow the signed detours or check out our 511mn.org website, and that'll have the information there too. Plus, the closures are in 2 different areas in the Twin Cities.
The closures begin at 10 o'clock tonight. WCCO News Time is 5:06.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Brought to you by American Rare Coin and Collectibles. Find them at AmericanRareCoinandCollectibles.com. You're going to find some slowdowns traveling crosstown eastbound, making the push Gleason over to Cedar Avenue. North I-35 slowing through Lakeville as you head toward the Burnsville split. If you're going to be traveling up on the north side of the metro, got some slowdowns for Highway 10 both directions between Airport Road and 35W. West 94 slowing through Maple Grove as you move past Hemlock Lane. When a loved one passes or it's time to settle in a state, the valuables left behind can feel overwhelming. At American Rare Coin and Collectibles in Bloomington, they help navigate these moments with clarity and care. Peace of mind starts with your appointment, AmericanRareCoinAndCollectibles.com. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings back its most popular show of all time, Grease. It's a high-octane party that'll rock your socks off. Order today. Visit chanhassendt.com. Be there or be square.
Now the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
And it is brought to you by Chanhassen Dinner Theaters. Catch Grease on stage through October 4th. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Will be mostly cloudy overnight tonight, falling back to 63. There will be storms firing up in western Minnesota. That rain likely makes it to the Twin Cities by early tomorrow morning. Partly cloudy during the day tomorrow. It's going to be hot and humid with a high of 89. Muggy, as I mentioned, with showers and thunderstorms popping by late afternoon into the evening hours. Sunday, that rain should clear out early, mostly cloudy during the day with a few scattered showers possible. Still humid with a high of 85.
Cloudy right now, 71 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Check the back seat. Check the back seat.
Gets in your head, right? Good, because every year dozens of children are forgotten in the back seat. Cars get hot fast and can be deadly, so get it in your head. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Real-time news, real smart talk. News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie, just DeRUSH. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
You're watching the cool, brainwashing 12-year-old and younger station that hides behind a slick image. We're so cool that we decide what's cool. And now, here's your host,
Jason DeRUSH.
It is Friday. The sun is out. It is Pride weekend. It's going to be hot. There's so much going on all throughout the Twin Cities. One of the reasons I invite you to sign up for my newsletter is that every Friday morning in your inbox, I send you some of the segments that we enjoyed the most this week. I send you some of my food writing, and I send you a list of fun things that you could do over the weekend. This week, you could go to Top the Tater Days. You could go to Sauerkraut Days. You could go to Pride Weekend, of course. I'm going to go to the Minnesota Aurora final home season game tomorrow night. Match out at TCO Stadium in Eagan. Tonight, I'm going to Cabaret at the Guthrie. It's summer. There's so much going on. I want you to be a part of all of it. You can just search DeRusha on Substack if you're on Substack and subscribe, or you can go to my website, jasonderusha.com, and you can sign up there. Twins pregame starts at 5:30. DeRUSH Hour news headline starts now.
Now, time to get you caught up on some of the biggest stories of the day. These are the DeRUSH Hour headlines.
Good evening. Our top story.
This just in.
Our top story.
We begin tonight with.
We begin tonight.
We begin tonight. We begin tonight.
We begin with the lead.
And our top story is Melissa Hortman, Mark Hortman, lying in state. The first time, as Laura reported, a woman has had that honor. Usually it's former governors or U.S. senators or other high-ranking public officials. And Melissa Hortman, as the former House Speaker and DFL House Speaker, shot and killed, along with her husband, Mark, in their Brooklyn Park home, accompanied in a very emotional way by their golden retriever, Gilbert. who was also shot and then later euthanized. The headline is going to be that the former president attended the memorial and paid his respects in the Capitol Rotunda. Joe Biden in the Twin Cities in a truly classy move. But I am struck by the ordinary Minnesotans who lined up around the Capitol today to walk in and say thank you. And say thank you. It is been incredibly emotional to see all of the golden retrievers. I have to admit, my first reaction when they said that Gilbert was going to also be in the rotunda, lying in state, was a little bit of like, come on, man. Like, really? And yet it has been so touching because there is something about the fact that not only did this monster try to terrorize us as a state and terrorize Democratic elected officials, and I mean small d Democratic and big D Democrat elected officials, but that he'd shoot a dog. There is something about that. In court today, this alleged monster claimed that he wasn't able to sleep in the Sherburne County Jail. The sheriff has refuted this, but I will say this. I hope he can't sleep. I hope he can't sleep. Next, in the DeRUSH Hour News headlines, the story making big news all around the nation is the Supreme Court. In a flurry of decisions today, they have handed a major victory to all presidents. President Trump, in a practical sense, gets a win. But every president of the last, of the 2000s for sure, has been complaining about the fact that federal judges have the ability to shut down almost everything that they are doing. And in fact, in the Supreme Court opinion, Justice Amy Coney Barrett said that by the end of the Biden administration, nearly every major presidential act of that administration had been immediately blocked by a federal trial judge somewhere around the country. Joe Tamburino is our legal analyst. He's a criminal defense attorney. He has been examining the real impact of this because for the Trump administration, this will allow them to have a wholesale change in how our nation grants citizenship and something that is called birthright citizenship. Joe, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on, Jason. Yes, that's absolutely right. Because what's happening here is you have one federal judge, well, specifically one in Massachusetts, one in Maryland, and one in the state of Washington, who says, we're going to stop the administration's executive order, and stopping it will go nationwide. And this has been a complaint by Democrats and Republicans. It happened against President Biden, and it's happening a lot against President Trump.
Yeah, we've seen this. We've seen this for a while. It's always struck me as ridiculous that some random judge from one of the many federal districts can absolutely stop a president and set a nationwide policy. It doesn't make any sense to me.
That's correct. So what that is called an injunction. Usually an injunction involves just the parties. For instance, if WCCO radio station said we're going to sell to Acme, and Jason, you said, wait a minute, I'm going to be harmed because I'm going to lose my job, and I think this sale is a violation of FCC rules, you get an injunction. But that only applies to you and WCCO, not KSTP or a radio station in Orlando or something like that. Whereas here, what's been happening is a federal judge will say, I have universal ability to stop this throughout the country. And that's what the Supreme Court said today. You don't.
Now, there is a practical effect to this because this case involved the birthright citizenship executive order, which the president wants to end that. Now, this in a practical sense, could you end up with a different policy in every single, because I assume it's going to be lawsuit city at every single federal court district now, right?
That's absolutely right. And what you bring up is something that's public policy-wise a problem, because even though the Supreme Court said one district court judge can't do this, the consequences in this situation are great, because here's what could happen. Say you have a federal judge in Minnesota, which is just one district. There are 94 federal districts in the country. We only have one. Wisconsin has 2. So say one judge here says, you know what? I'm stopping President Trump from executing this executive order. So we're going to protect an immigrant's child for birthright citizenship. Okay. But say in Wisconsin, they don't do that. So what's going to happen? People are going to move to where they are protected. It makes sense. It's human nature. So you're going to have this panoply, this checkerboard system of some districts saying, we're going to protect this, other districts saying, we're not going to take part.
None of this would be an issue if Congress would actually pass some laws maybe once in a while and not leave this up to executive orders, right?
Well, you bring up another good topic, which is Congress all the time, never fails, does nothing when it comes to these types of issues. And they always kick the can down the road and then wait for a district court, federal court, the Supreme Court to make decisions for them. So it's quite true that Congress could have some part in delineating how we go through this in the future with birthright citizenship.
Yeah. Oof. It's going to be a mess for a little while, though, right?
It's going to be a complete mess because think about it. One state could be split, or your big states that have many districts like Texas, New York, Florida, California. You could have all these different rules.
Very good. Joe Tamburino, thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Page 2 in the DeRUSH Hour News headlines coming up in just a minute. It's our anniversary, 3 years of Drive Time with DeRUSH in the can. Year 4, loading up. Make sure you give us a follow on YouTube. You can watch our interviews in studio and watch Dan freak out when I forget to say the name of a sponsor. Find us at WCCO Radio on YouTube.
Drive Time with DeRusha is on News Talk 830 WCCO.
You know that feeling when you're about to cut into a juicy steak and hope it tastes as perfect as it looks? Well, worry no more. The Chef IQ Sense is a wireless cooking thermometer that eliminates under or overcooking your chicken, fish, or meat, whether on the stovetop, oven, or grill. The probe is inserted into your food and connected wirelessly to an app. Once you select your desired doneness, the app alerts you when to take the steaks off the grill or the turkey out of the oven. It's that simple. Order one now on chefiq.com. That's chefiq.com.
3 months free. 3 months free with Livia's nutrition program. It's Jason here for Livia Weight Control Centers. Real results without sacrifices. That's sort of the vibe this summer. The real results come when you commit yourself, when you say, you know what, I can't do it alone. I need help. For me, that started 3 years ago. I joined Livia Weight Control Centers in July, so I almost hit my 3-year anniversary. And I started losing weight right away. Why? Because it works. I followed what the team in Coon Rapids told me to do. And what's been amazing for me and life-changing is that I've kept that weight off. 45 pounds gone for almost 3 years. You can do it too. You can. Join today. Get 3 months free of the nutrition program. So many people are getting great results with GLP-1 weight loss medications. They start at just $149. Great prices, better people. You are going to love Livia. Enjoy your summer. Stay on track and feel your best. The expert support will get you there. It is your summer. No sacrifices, just results with Livia. Livia.com, Livea.com, or call 855-GO-LIVIA.
Heading out for the weekend? Lucky you.
Don't forget to stop at Thielen Meats of Pierce for some melt-in-your-mouth moments.
High quality beef.
Fresh and smoked sausages and brats.
Home smoked bacon.
All natural chicken.
A great selection of fish and seafood.
Visit us at ThielenMeats.com.
We've got the cuts that'll make your meal.
Call to order ahead and pick up on your way to the lake.
You'll be the hit of the party.
No meals complete without Thielen Meats
of Pierce.
O'Reilly.
Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSH.
I don't like the funny stuff. And I know what you're thinking. I'm familiar with your show. You clearly don't like the funny stuff.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
DeRUSH Hour News headlines, page 2. What moments and spots, if you were creating a map of Minnesota, what moments and spots would you put on that?
Minnesota is one of the best places to live in the entire country.
Whoa. Man, AJ Hilton really going hard, huh? What a... Do you think, like, has local news pandering reached an all-time high? Like, I thought I was the king of pandering. But honestly, this next generation, I mean, it's fine. It's good. Is it one of the best places? I guess one of doing a lot of work there, right? I digress. Pioneer Press's Molly Guthrie writing about the North Star Story Map. I think this is such an interesting idea. American Institutes of Architects, Minnesota, along with the Historical Society, funded by one of those legacy grants from the Historical Society. So some of the things on the map. Drinking a cherry Coke and reading the comics at Lang's Fountain in Grand Marais. I don't know that I've ever been to Lang's Fountain in Grand Marais, but you read this story that's submitted. It's amazing. Classic soda fountain. Pretty cool stuff. How about one of my favorites, visiting the horses at the Rose Warner Coliseum at the State Fairgrounds? That's on the map. And then Victor's 1959 Cafe, which belongs on the map for sure, because you said this is one of the first kind of major Cuban restaurants that we had in Minnesota. Pretty cool project. They're asking people to share their own stories of built spaces. So the idea is celebrating architecture and celebrating the power of story that comes with architecture. It's called the North Star Story Map. It's at NorthStarStoryMap.com. Giant slides on there. Gotta have the giant slide. St. Paul Corner Drug, the old soda fountain there. A lot of soda fountain. I feel like we could find other spaces that are meaningful besides. How much time are you guys spending at the soda fountain? It's 2025. Like, the era of soda fountains was at least 50 years ago. I'm just saying. Instead of a first job, 2 Twin Cities teens started a hot dog cart. Hot dogs here! This is such a nice story by Lincoln Roach. Now, I gave Lincoln some grief because he had to write a story about like a couple of people getting married, like a People magazine style, like this reality star who got married. This way better. He's an intern We should have Lincoln on. I feel like I talk about him more than any other reporter at the Star Tribune. So this story is really cool. These kids, Vigo and Sav, like clearly mom and dad have to have a couple of bucks, right? Like if you're naming your kids Sav and Vigo and you're driving to, I think they drove to Indiana to get this hot dog cart because most carts aren't like the health department wouldn't approve them. So anyway, they made like a relish, like a pickle relish in their home, and everybody thought it was good. And so they're 13 and 15 now, and they got a hot dog cart. It's called the Relish Brothers. You can go see them in New Brighton this weekend if you want to. They'll be at Paddle North today. They're there today and tomorrow. When you see somebody on their phone out in public, do you take a little peek?
That was rude. That was pretty rude.
You gotta watch it there. New York Times writing about privacy screens. Have you ever thought about this, Dan? Like you're out, you used to ride the bus, but you're at a Twins game, you're on your phone.
Yep.
And the algorithm, like a lot of what we see on our phone is not an active choice by us.
Sure.
It's the algorithm serving it up.
Yeah.
And so if the algorithm serves up, let's be honest, like there are things in my algorithm that my kids give me a little bit of grief about the fact that.
What kind of things, Jason?
Well, I'm very into fitness.
Oh, okay.
So
why would they give you grief about that, Jason?
Sometimes perhaps you see like a fetching
influencer?
Female fitness influencer.
I see.
And I'm like, well, I knew that woman before she became that.
Of course.
For example.
Yeah.
I should really get a privacy screen on my phone.
Let people enjoy the show.
Pretty interesting, right? You're out in public, but so you assume you have no privacy, yet it's kind of weird to have people looking at your phone. They were popular with doctors and therapists looking at sensitive stuff, but now they're becoming more popular with anybody.
Matt Gaetz might want to invest in one of those.
I get it. Are we all becoming the equivalent of professional sports coaches where you're like when they go and have their little meeting on the mound and everybody's covering their mouths, like there's going to be some sort of trade secret. They have the pitch com. Why do they cover their mouths? Coaches, Matt. Coaches are the weirdest people out there, don't you think? That's it for us. That's the DeRUSH Hour News headlines. Dan, congratulations. We made it. 3 years together.
Has it been that long?
I mean, I thought you would go the other direction with that comment. Feels like 20.
It's been amazing. Here's the 3 more.
Thank you for everything. And thank you guys for listening. It's been a blast. We'll start. Well, I guess this is year 4. We're on it. Here come the Twins. See you Monday.
The following is a presentation of Odyssey Sports, presented by Indeed. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire.